everyone, Sydney here from CMPL with another Maker Monday for you. This month we're going to be making some cross stitch keychains. So I'm going to show you how to cross stitch. So this is an example I made, and for the video I'm going to be making this little cat here because he reminds me of my new cat Meatball. Alright, so let's get started. So first off I'm going to grab my thread, and fun tip, you see that the label here, if you pull from the bottom, have the label facing up and pull from the bottom, you can pull the thread without making a bunch of tangles. If you pull from the loose end coming from the top, it's just going to be Tangle City. Alright, so we're going to start off with my thread. You can use your forearm as an example of how long it should be. You really don't want it to be longer than 18 inches because it will just be a tangly mess. So cut that, and I'm going to show you two ways to thread a needle actually. So the first way is you lick the thread and sort of pinch it between your thumb and forefinger, and then you can sort of drop the needle on. You sort of wiggle it in. Let's try that again. So lick it and then pinch it between your fingers and then pull it through. So that's the first method. If you're having a little difficulty with that, you can also take a very thin sheet of paper like that, put it over the end of your thread, and then push that through the needle. Alright, and that's two ways to thread. Alright, so now we are going to dive in. So before I start, I'm going to need to figure out where I'm going to be starting my pattern. So I want to start with the ears up top here. And I need to make sure that, so that's probably going to be somewhere in the center, but I need to make sure that I have 2 stitches. 1, 2, at least 2 stitches up to 6 stitches outwards to make sure I have room for this. So I like to start at the top. So I'm going to start right here, and I have plenty of room to either side. And I have as much room as I need to go down, hopefully. So to start, you're going to go into what will be the bottom left corner of your first stitch. So each stitch is going to be between 4 squares here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the stitch is going to be on that cross section, which is why it's called a cross stitch. So to start, you put your needle in from the back, and you don't pull your thread all the way through. You're going to want to leave about 1 inch or so behind. Then you go up to the top right corner of your first stitch, pull, go down 1, and before you pull this all the way, you're going to want to go back and pull that thread that you were holding through this loop. And now you can pull your needle all the way through, and your thread is secure. So now you can pull it and your thread's not coming out. Then you go back up to the top left corner and you have 1 stitch. Alright, so now I need to go down a stitch. I'm going to make sure that I'm still covering that tail so that it's extra secure and it's not going to be hanging out. Go over a stitch. And now, after this stitch is done, I don't want to jump over to the other ear just yet because I don't want to have a lot of thread in the back. Because if it's going to be a keychain, I'm going to be using it. I don't want anything catching on that, or if I decide to cut down through the ears, I don't want to accidentally cut my thread. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this top part of the head here. And I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. every so often when you're cross stitching, you're going to want to just let your needle and thread dangle down, and that will take away any twist that you put into the thread, and that will help prevent any knotting. Time for me to go back up and finish the ears. So I'm going to go one stitch up on the side. Alright, so now I need to go down to the next row, which is going to have 9 stitches. So I finished that row. Now as you go, to help you keep track of the pattern, you can just use a pen to mark off what you've done. So I'm just going to mark off all these rows I've done. You can also take your needle and just poke them through, whatever works best for you. You'll see that I'm getting close to the end of my thread, so we're going to show you how to secure that. So in cross stitch, there's no knots. So when you get to about the last 3 inches or so of your thread, end it. Alright, so to secure that, you're just going to go to the back of your work and thread your needle through the back of some of your previous stitches. I would say put it through at least 5, but if you got more, go for it. So I put them through there, and then I pull the thread through. And now I can trim that edge, and I'm ready to start a new length of thread. So again, we're going to be pulling from the bottom. And I will show you again how to start off a new length of thread. So you start in the bottom left corner of your stitch, pull your thread mostly through, leave about 1 inch, and hold that with your finger on the back. Go at a diagonal to the top right corner of the stitch, pull through, making sure you hold your thread so it doesn't all come through. Then you're going to go down to the bottom right corner of your stitch, turn your work over, and make sure that your tail goes underneath this loop. Hold tight, and now your thread is secure. Then you can keep stitching. Same as before, just try and make sure that you cover up as much as this starting tail as possible, that way it is as secure as possible. Okay, so I finished my pattern. And as you can see, I've got a lot of extra space here. I don't really want that. So I'm just going to trim this down. Being very careful not to cut into the canvas where I have the stitches. So, cut along the perimeter of my farthest stitches. think I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm not gonna try and get around, cut it too close. So I'm happy with that. I'm gonna take my keychain. I want it in the corner here. And there we go. That's a cross-stitch keychain. So have fun. You got all these patterns to choose from. Got more on the other side. And happy stitching. We'll see you next month.